Good evening, Manoj. How are you?
I'm good, Mukund. How are you?
Haven't seen you in 2 weeks on this video.
Yeah, we both have been busy or maybe some timing mismatch. And of course, you were enjoying your vacation in Cancun.
Yes, yes. I mean, I would have expected us to have not done a video on Thanksgiving, but I think the week before that, we were just going back and forth, I think, with times.
Absolutely.
Sorry to
Absolutely.
all the people that are following that we couldn't make a video up, but we are back. And our usual, for people that are following for the first time, our usual agenda is we go through some key earnings for the week. Then Manoj and I discuss what the action is among the main market indicators, S&P 500, Dow Jones, NASDAQ. We talk a little bit about sometimes the interest rate environment, and we took a look at the dollar index sometimes. Sometimes we take a look at the oil. And then finally, we go through some of the key stocks we are watching and some of the stocks that are coming up for earnings next week. Okay, so this week, Manoj, we had some very, very good earnings. I actually only had one company that was not that I was watching that had poor earnings. I mean, all of the companies that I've been watching and following, Zscaler to Crowd to Workday, Pinduoduo, PDD, Snowflake, Nutanix, CRM, Okta, Path, every one of them had good earnings, really good earnings. I mean, compared to what I thought would be a difficult earning scenario, this one actually, even though a lot of the companies had been raising their earnings profile, this actually turned out to be a very, very good earnings season overall, even according to FactSet.
Yep. In fact, actually, I saw, I don't normally, track individual earnings, but because I've been handling quite a few things this last 1 month, I saw that, many of those stocks have, maybe because, earnings were depressed, the estimates were depressed, they came out to be better than the depressed earnings itself. So that's why I think my stocks outperformed based on the estimates itself. So I was surprised pleasantly.
Yeah, so if you look at one of the stocks that I've been following after a very strong, this is CRM, by the way, for those of the guys that are watching, this was one of the stocks that was in my radar. Head and shoulders pattern moved a little bit down, entered at 200, 263 in 4 weeks.
30%. That's a good return
But I've been
within a
having
month.
it for quite a bit of time as well. So I just added at 200. Every time it reaches somewhere near or below the 200-day mark, 200-day moving average, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to put some, when
Okay.
back in India, we used to do this thing called Tirupati Darshan, right? Before you go to Tirupati, every time you go, you just take a little bit of money, put it aside because you
Right.
got to
I
put it
get
in
that.
the temple anyway.
I
But
get
that I just wanted to mention to you guys, that was one of the stocks on my radar. And then another stock that I think did very, very well, very good earnings was Pinduoduo. I think a lot of people were watching this. Surprisingly, now they are on track to consistently overdo Baba. Alibaba was the number one e-commerce company in the world in terms of general gross merchandise value. Pinduoduo, I mean, I've bought this since the Gap and Show, since the Cup and Handle over here. I bought it at 79, doubled.
Wow.
This is
That's
exactly where I bought it. And I said, here's where I'm buying it. Doubled. It is doubled
that's
in just about 3 months. And this, it is doubled when the rest of the market was going down.
interesting. Actually interesting. So that shows, sometimes even if we don't, look at the other stocks, many times even if the overall market is not performing well, there are certain stocks which has something else going on for them. So if we miss them, we just miss them.
I think a combination of two things, right? One of my core strategies has always been I have about 4 or 5 strategies that I follow. One of them is just an example of a strategy is strong fundamentals. Companies with very strong fundamentals that maybe people have not caught up on to in terms of valuation. When there's a valuation mismatch, I like those. This one is just a company in a different strategy of mine, which is look for places where they have strong fundamentals and they have some overhang in terms of news. I mean, everybody hates China names
Yeah.
overall, right? Every company in China, if suddenly they've put them in the van, I'm like, no, 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 not every company. There's one really good company that has doing very well and has been growing.
Right.
So that's one of the internet names. Okay, good. So how are we doing in terms of the broader market? Do you want to start with the indices, see how we're doing? By the way, just to give you context, all three of the companies in the cybersecurity did well.
Oh,
CrowdStrike did well, Okta did well, Palo Alto Networks did well. I mean, much as people were expecting a little bit of a challenge. I think next week is Sentinel One, which is another cybersecurity company. But
mhm. I don't track any those individual names normally, but I do, watch my technicals. If they show me on my radar, I definitely trade them. Otherwise, I don't. Anyway, so let's talk about the markets and where we are right now. Okay, we have been talking about this cup and handler for quite a few months. I think at least for last 2 months we have been talking about it, and here we are. Last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of green candle, and on the verge of breaking out of that particular trend line, which has been holding on for almost last few days. This entire Thanksgiving, we have been holding on to this trend line. We have been going here, coming back, going here, coming back, and today almost broke out.
It's actually very good price action.
I'm sorry.
Very tight, very good price action.
Absolutely, and these are actually good signs, but I'm actually concerned as well. The reason I'm concerned is because these are not on good volumes. These breakouts, which are not on good volumes, tend to fail, and that is the reason that gives me a one big concern. Secondly, there is a reason that I have actually spoken about it. How breakouts or breakdowns fail, and how some kind of patterns top out or bottom out. So this channel has been going on for last ever since we bottomed out here, and it's been rising in this channel. Although we have made new highs from after this touching this upper end of the channel, we have made new highs, but it has not been able to go past this particular upper end of the channel. So I would be very, very cautious, and I wouldn't be surprised if this channel breaks down in the next few days. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for the bulls, next few days are going to be again far more thinner in volumes. So I won't be surprised even if it breaks down, it doesn't sustain the breakdown. So maybe we'll be dilly-dallying in the entire 1 month, but don't be overtly bullish, don't be overtly bearish is my suggestion to everyone. This entire month, just trade the ranges of 10, 20 points and move out. Don't go for 50-point runner up, or maybe 700 points gap down or gap up. I don't think that's coming unless there is something very big development happening in terms of geopolitical or macroeconomic scenario. But I would be definitely going for those 20 pointers or 30 pointers maximum, not beyond that, even on the long side, even on the short side.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Next, we go NASDAQ. Again, similar pattern, no difference. It has already broken out, by the way. If you look at this, it has already broken out. So give me 1 second. Let me just change the color of this trend line so that people can see.
Interestingly, Manoj, of the three, to me, the Dow Jones seemed the most strongest, though.
It is already on the verge of hitting all-time highs.
Yeah. The strong. I mean, I've been mentioning this for a couple of weeks now in my daily video YouTube channel, but it has been going stronger than both of these. I think a big part of it is also, remember,
all-time high is 36,800 and we are at 36,300. So just 500 points away from there. 500 points is just how much? 1.5%? No big deal. Although you can just see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of green candles. So even though we are reaching the all-time highs, I won't be surprised if it just gives back immediately, because that will be double top as well as supply zone. So be very careful. Even if it looks bullish, it could be a bull trap. Macroeconomic scenario also doesn't look very promising. Although one very good thing is inflation is not as scary as it was back then. When we were here, inflation was hitting 4%, 5%, and then 8%. Right now, we are less than 3%. So an inflationary scenario gives us some good hopes. Probably markets might see, rate cuts as well, which could be another good sign. But are valuations supporting? I don't know, because I don't track valuations as closely as you do. So you are the right person to talk about valuations. But in terms of technical perspective, it does seem like there should be some correction. Probably hitting the all-time high somewhere around 36,800. We can see some correction. Where does it go? That remains to be seen when we enter New Year. Till New Year, till this entire 1 month, I wouldn't be very, very bearish, not very bullish as well.
Yeah. No, let's go back to the Dow Jones. Just go to the weekly chart and zoom out a little bit. Just
it's a weekly chart.
Show pattern. Zoom out, don't zoom in. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you look at the long term and see the behavior of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and you look at the Magnificent Seven on the NASDAQ, the big advantage has been the Magnificent Seven have driven a lot of the driving the indicator.
I do have that chart. Give me 1 second.
And if you look at the Dow, what I think is interesting to me is that there are a lot of very good, this is the end of the year, it's December.
That's Magnificent 8, not 7, but Magnificent 7, 8.
Yeah, look at that. This is, still strong. But if I look, this is the weekly chart, right? If I look at
Yes,
this,
weekly chart.
the candle now towards the last candle, you see the red candle next to the series of greens,
Yep.
right? That's telling me that, again, it's too early. I'm not necessarily saying this is it, but they're telling me there's a little bit of rotation that is going to happen away from the big seven
Yes,
to maybe
yes.
other stocks. And if I look at
In fact,
the
if we look at all those individual charts as well, whether it is Nvidia, whether it is Microsoft, whether it is Amazon, they aren't as promising as they were maybe a few days or few weeks ago.
correct, and then go to IWM, and you'll see the interesting part is, how strong off of the lows has the Russell 2000 index moved up. Look at that move.
This is a weekly chart.
But it's still within the, if you look at it overall, it's still within very much a sideways zone from the
For
1640
the
mark
last 2
all the
years,
way
yes,
up to
it has
the,
gone nowhere. For the entire of last 2 years, this year as well as last year, it has gone nowhere. It is just
gone
consolidating
nowhere.
this
It's
zone.
just gone nowhere. I think there's opportunity here for next year, just for people to think through. I'm not saying make the trade, but this could be one of those that does a very good breakout, hopefully sometime out of this box, as we call the sideways pattern, and then moves upwards into the higher one. But it's
Just for
it's a good
records,
watch. It's good to watch IWM
just
because
for
I think
records, I have gone
time is
short
coming.
IWM into next week.
Say that again.
Just for records, I have gone short into IWM for next week. I'm a trader. I mean, of course, next year is too long for me. I'm a trader. I mean, if I make that 5-10%, 20% in the next 1 week, why not?
So the
Based on
thing
the
that is
weekly chart,
interesting to
I've
me,
shortened because of this entire channel resistance, 200 MA on the weekly, and I think it has run up quite a bit and it needs that correction. So based on
I
that, I have
think that
actually shorted it.
the thing that is interesting to me, Manoj, is that a lot of people who follow our channel are also long-term investors.
Absolutely,
Right?
absolutely.
They're not necessarily looking for something in the next week, in the next day, in the next few hours. They are looking for things that they can invest in and keep it for about 3-6 months, right? 3-6 months, 1 year. I
Yeah.
think this is just look at it, watch for it to break out of certain specific numbers. Put some alerts for yourself on your favorite screener and scanner, and then or just watch Twitter, because a lot of people on Twitter also share saying, "Hey, breakout, breakout." Okay, good. Did we have any discussions we wanted to have on gold? It seems like we are having a very good gold pattern.
Give me 1 second. I'll just go back to gold first, and then we talk about all the other things.
After gold, where do you want to go?
Give me 1 second. I'm actually on other watch list. I need to go back to our watch list so that we can talk about the right things.
Looking at all of your watch list names, potential reversals, Indian stocks, potential down. Man, now I know all your key strategies and your secrets are now known to the world, Manoj.
Oh yes, go ahead and take them. I don't need to keep them any secret. Go ahead and take all of those. Here you are: banks, consumer stocks, ETF, currencies, whatever
Oh
you want
wow,
to look at.
flag pattern and a breakout, and
Yep.
coming out of a sideways pattern for a multi-week,
It's
multi-month, multi-week, no,
actually
multi-year,
yeah, exactly. So
the
this
multi-year
has
breakout.
been going on this entire cup and handle. The entire world was talking about it last year when the correction was happening. Markets was correcting. Everyone was like, okay, yes, yes, gold is going to break out. Gold is going to break out. It did not. It went all the way to 2020, 30, 40, gave big, massive sell off all the way towards 1590, and then rallied. Again, sold off. This time did not go all the way to 1600. This time maybe 1800, and then rallied again. So I mean, there are a lot of theories that people keep talking about. One, gold, although people say it's an inflation hedge, it did not rally in the entire inflationary scenario for last 18 months that we were talking about. People say it's a deflation hedge. People also say that it rises in higher interest environment. But what gold is doing right now, it's doing something else. It's probably a recession hedge. If there is a recession that we are talking about, for the last 3 months, it has been rallying. If you look at this, it started rallying from October, November, December, and on the verge of breakout.
And you look at the
It's a
candles;
low.
they are very
I'm sorry.
strong candles. They're
Absolutely,
not weak candles,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely. And
You look,
there is
for
no way that
example,
it wants to stop here. Maybe some kind of correction will be there for maybe 5-10%, but there will be correction that will be an opportunity for people to enter into. So I would be a buyer of gold. I have already entered my long into silver as well, because gold and silver normally rise in tandem. There is a bigger opportunity in silver. If you want to see, I'll just show you the chart as well, so that
No,
you
but
look at.
Manoj, one quick thing before you go to silver, just really quick, I wanted to show one thing, right? Just wanted to point something out. You look at the candles before, within from 2021 to 2023, right? Look at most of the candles, especially the red candles. Look at the 5-6 months of red candles going down. Let me just point that out.
This one.
Hold on. Yeah, right here, right? This is 5 candles. How weak these candles are. That's why you see a good reversal. But look at these 3 candles. These 3 are very strong, good candles, right?
Absolutely.
They are not like this very little bit of a base. This is a very little wick at the bottom.
Yeah,
And look
absolutely.
at this.
And what it
This
says is
month is super
the
strong
reversal.
candle.
This reversal actually started with a bullish engulfing on the monthly candle. That itself was a huge buy signal for anyone who tracks candlestick patterns and anyone who tracks technicals as such. So engulfing at the bottom at the 20 and 50 MA of the monthly, any opportunity right there is an opportunity to buy.
Yeah,
so
that's good. Okay, how are we doing on silver? Manoj, you know why gold is also going up?
Why?
Lots of money in India. People have lots of money to put in gold. Everybody's buying jewelry.
Okay, yeah, possibly, yeah. And this is actually the time when people there are marriages happening in India, and that's
Yeah.
one of the key reasons.
After COVID, now marriages are beginning again, so everybody's buying gold.
So here
Oh
you are.
man, this is also a multi-year high.
Multi-year high, 2011 to right now, and already broken out. It's not a multi-year high, but a multi-year breakout.
Yeah, multi-breakout. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Multi-year breakout definitely heading in tandem with this channel, and I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to expand inside this channel all the way towards somewhere around here, maybe 28, maybe 30, kind of a thing. So 28 to 30 is where it should see some kind of a position and maybe some opportunity for people to assume what's going to happen next. One more thing, silver, although it rises with gold, it is also a significant industrial commodity. So what does it say? Even if so, there are people keep talking about soft landing, hard landing. What if there is no hard landing? What if there is no soft landing? What if there is no recession? In that case, we are talking about altogether a different boom into the economy, into the markets. And silver does outperform such kind of an environment. It outperforms industrial revolution kind of a thing, because it is an industrial product. It is not just a sister of gold. It is actually an industrial product. So don't be surprised if economically we don't see anything and yet silver rises.
Yeah. Okay, let me just quickly ask you a quick question. When you look at this, when you look at the chart that you've drawn in silver, right?
Okay.
It strikes to me that it looks also like it is forming the beginning of an inverse head and shoulders. Look at the head close to the 2020.
Definitely, yes. It does look like
that's the inverse head
I
and
actually
shoulders, right?
kind of
That's
stopped
the
myself
head.
of
That's
I
the
kind of
head.
stopped myself of pointing that out, because it's still in that process of doing it. So unless that pattern plays out, you do not want to rush and say, hey, it's a inverse head and shoulder.
Right. I think it is forming. It is starting to form. It's
Yes.
looking very good. It's looking very good. Okay, good. All right, we did that. Just to give a quick update on some of the earnings next week. I'm not going to talk about every one of them. Two of them very interesting to me. Gitlab and Mongo DB are the ones with earnings next week. Besides that, there are about 10 other stocks. I'll just quickly mention them, ones which I'm following. Sentinel One, and then C3 AI, Stitch Fix, SFIX, Box, Chewy, just to be able to see if there is any turnaround on the e-commerce for pets, given that there is less pressure right now for people spending on pets, right? VEEV, Dollar General, to see if their consistent downtrend has now turned around. A good stock that I really like is Braze, BRZE. I've done a video on that as well. Very strong company. I really like Braze. And I like GitLab and MongoDB as well. Besides that, the one big one for next week is Lululemon. LULU is a ticker symbol, and Broadcom AVGO. Those are the ones that are coming up for earnings next week. We were going to talk about GitLab. Okay, Manoj has the chart ready.
You want to speak about it first and then I talk?
The big challenge with GitLab was 2 quarters ago, Manoj. Actually, go to the, you're on the weekly chart, right? Actually, go to the daily chart. 2 quarters ago, Yeah, go to the daily chart. If you look at it 2 quarters ago, look at the red. Yeah, okay. So look at that. Even though the earnings, look at that earnings gap up. Solid
Wow.
earnings gap up. Okay. Really, really good earnings and
Yeah,
gap up. And then since then, it has been in a pattern. It has been just moving up
yeah,
and down and up
consolidating in
and
the entire
down.
zone.
Yeah, it has been just range bound. The valuations now, given its growth, have caught up very, very nicely. So I like the valuation. It's not perfect, but it's good. I also like the fact that this one has shown the tendency to be able to have, if you go to the weekly chart, the other thing that is, yeah, look at this from a long term perspective, this is out of a base. I'm hoping that this is a strong base as well. And if you look at it, it's starting to form a inverse head and shoulders. Down at the bottom is the head. Those two are there. It's still not formed a complete right shoulder yet, but it's starting to. I like this. What do you think, Manoj?
So you look at it in inverse head and shoulder, which is definitely is very visible. What I look at it is a ascending triangle, which is a very good pattern. I mean, so these two lines, these two red lines, is what it pointing towards. So chances are, I mean, again, it's not necessary that it would come down. If it is respecting this trend line, which it has been respecting all throughout this period, it might give you some kind of correction somewhere around maybe here, and then again breaks out. If it does exactly the way S&P 500 and Nasdaq have done in the last 2 weeks, dilly-dally somewhere around, that's all the more good sign that yes, it is ready to break out of here. That's the time when, probably somewhere around first step would be somewhere around here, say 58, and then all the way towards 70.
Okay, good. Then MDB. MDB is Mongo DB. Strong software name, little bit on the expensive side. So this is one thing that I want to caution people about. Stock has been performing very, very well, man. This thing is just an absolutely very, very good stock. It never gives up. Every time you expect it to move a little bit down, it just ends up going even higher and higher. So I like the stock. It's been forming a very good pattern. And I'm hoping that now it actually breaks over and out of the 350 mark, goes out to the 400 mark, and then continues to move its way up.
Looks good. Definitely looks good. This is the neckline that it must definitely cross. Once it crosses, it shouldn't stop. I mean, because we are in a thinly traded market, it shouldn't stop somewhere around 470. If it doesn't, then probably 560, 580 is what we are looking at.
Okay, good. So we have two companies that you want to talk, Morgan Stanley and Intel.
I have actually already tweeted about it. I think yesterday. I'm bullish. Inverse head and shoulders already broken out. But to be
Oh,
honest, I
wow.
missed it yesterday. I entered it today in a
Really
small
nice
quantity.
pattern. And just above the 200 MA, just moving out into the 100 MA, right?
No, this is 200 MA. This is above 20 and 50 MA, and 200
Okay.
MA is there around 85.
Got it. 20. Sorry, got it. So my blue line is usually 200 MA. So I'm still thinking
Yeah, so
trading.
that's what 200 MA is. Even mine is blue line is 200.
Okay, got it. So your blue line and 200 is on top. So this is 20 MA and 50 MA.
Exactly.
Got it.
So I'm bullish on it, targeting at
20
least
MA looks
85.
really strong. Really
Absolutely, it
good
is strong.
move.
It is strong. So I was actually bearish last time. I made money on the downside, and I'm making money. Not making money. I've just entered today. So I'm hoping to make money on the upside as well. Probably around 85 is when I should be planning to exit.
Okay. And then Intel, we talked about it 2 weeks ago, correct? We had a very strong move on Intel. We mentioned Intel. I mean, I talked about Intel as well. And I said, okay, this is going up and to the right.
So weekly chart and the daily chart.
Oh, wow.
I entered a very small short position, assuming that it is actually not going above this supply zone. The supply zone of 44 to 41. It's not able to cross past it. So I'm assuming it should give some correction somewhere around maybe 39 to 41 is where I'm expecting it to come down, not below that. Maybe it should be able to not go below the 20 MA, which is 41.50. So I'm not very bearish, but I'm hoping for it to give some kind of correction up to 39 to 41, and then rally again pass towards the upper end of the channel. So small trading move that I'm looking forward to in terms of Intel.
Good deal, Manoj. This was terrific. I think we went through a lot of different stocks. The ones that I said I'm watching next week are Gitlab and Mongo DB. Another one that is interesting is Lululemon. Manoj is obviously watching Morgan Stanley and Intel. Guys, please comment. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your questions. Manoj, there were a bunch of questions for you also. Actually, one guy said, I'm waiting for you guys to be able to do the how do you put together your screeners, right? So next week, maybe we talk a little bit about the screeners that you have. I already seen your screeners. I saw your watch list, all the names on the watch list. So we'll go through that. I have about 14 to 20 screeners, Manoj, and every day I go through all of them. But my whole goal is to pick one or two, and in fact, most of them I don't even want to touch. Right? I look at the screener and say, "Is it popping?" And my whole goal is no, I don't. No. I don't want to do it unless it pops out so much that I'm like, yeah, this is it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you,
everybody. Thank you, Manoj.
Names.
Good.
But yeah, unless it shows up like very big thing, otherwise I don't touch.
Thank you, everybody.
Right.
Thank you, Manoj.
everyone.
Talk to you
bye-bye.
soon.